is Justin Chugg with Enable, and today we're going to talk about a new strategy related to using products to open doors or to generate appointments. This is something that I think that needs to be addressed because oftentimes when I'm talking to individuals, I usually ask them, what are you trying to sell? What are you trying to accomplish? And more often than not, I hear something like UCaaS or contact centers. And so what this strategy is designed to do is help you to get to your goal, but understand the best and easiest route to do so. Now, to help illustrate this principle, we're going to look at a case study with Costco. I think because this is more relatable, it may be easier for us to understand how this works in our space of selling technology. Costco last year sold about $100 million worth of rotisserie chicken, which is great, other than the fact that it cost them about $50 million. So they lost $50 million worth of revenue. Now, this principle illustrates that it's not necessarily, they lost the revenue, the potential revenue with the chicken because they could have sold it for more. But that's not, they're not selling the chicken to sell the chicken, if you understand what I'm saying. They're selling the chicken to get people in the door. Because they know if they can get someone in their door, they'll end up selling something else and purchasing a lot of other products. The same principle applies to selling UCaaS or any other large ticket products, is we need to start with something a little bit smaller, something that the customer is interested in purchasing. And this is the main principle, is that we need to sell what the customer wants to buy and not what we want to sell them. So for example, what we're going to focus on in order to get appointments to sell large ticket items is we need to focus on add-ons, something that's easier to talk about, something that the customer wants to buy and ultimately leads to a conversation. Having a dialogue, having a meeting with a client, and actually working with them is the most valuable asset you have, the most valuable time that you can have. So while selling these add-on products really won't add up to much, just like the rotisserie chicken actually costs Costco money, but in the long run it makes them money, which is why they invest so much in making that possible. And I hear a lot of times from partners and sales reps, they say, I'm not going to touch anything that's under $2,000 in MRC because it's just not worth my time. That's not the right mentality. In the long run, it's costing you because you're having less appointments and you're having less customer conversations, which makes acquisition much more difficult. We need to focus on expanding our product sets among customers rather than expanding our customer base. So a few examples of door openers would be text-enabled DIDs. A lot of companies are exploring this. A lot of times we're not focusing on it because it's really insignificant. But having a conversation about that could lead to a lot of other conversations about UCaaS. The other thing is predictive dialers, maybe helping optimize their workforce. Security tests is something insignificant, but that can lead to a lot of different IT security discussions. Disaster recovery, that's an add-on of existing products. Phishing simulations, maybe it's a one-time conversation, but it'll definitely lead to other IT security solutions. Trainings around security. Email security, it's a simple add-on that a lot of companies are doing. And again, it's a small ticket product, but it can lead to a lot of good conversations. We could ask about, what else are you doing? What else do you want to talk about? SD-WAN, this is definitely an add-on. A lot of companies are using cloud products. It's been around for more than a decade, but optimizing that may not be on their radar yet. Audits, bandwidth is a huge one. I like to see bandwidth as one of the primary products because it's so relevant. It's so specific to their building in terms of fiber and passings. It has an event tied to it a lot of times when there is construction taking place. Video surveillance, CRM integrations, wireless backup. We know that there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to bandwidth these days with natural disasters and who knows what. And so wireless backup is a big deal. Asset tracking. These types of products are really insignificant when it comes to MRC, but just remember the chicken principle with Costco. It's not about what you're selling, it's about getting in front of customers. And so we want to focus on the less expensive products because that's going to be easier for them to digest. It's going to be easier for them to entertain, to look at, to talk about. If you come in and try to overhaul their entire platform, it's going to be much harder to have a conversation, which means you're going to have less conversations. But ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to have more conversations and trying to grow our customer base by growing not the number of customers, but the number of products. We can also leverage our lead exchange. If you've established a lead exchange, chances are there may be a product outside of what you're selling that has a much higher customer acquisition rate. So it may be easier to lead with the product that your lead exchange offers that's outside of your product mix, but ultimately leads to more appointments. So that's something you want to look at. You also you want to focus on add-ons, something that's just marginal, something that isn't a major impact on the company. This will make it a lot easier to have a conversation with folks. If you try to start at the top and try to sell the big ticket items, you're going to have much less conversations. But it's the number of conversations that are going to lead to other things, because ultimately it's much easier to grow your business with existing logos than with new logos, which means starting out small and then growing that with new products is going to grow faster than new logos. And again, it's not about what we want to sell, it's about what our customers want to buy. And so they're much more willing to entertain smaller products, add-ons, than trying to talk about something that's more risky. You don't want to give them anxiety saying, let's replace everything you got and see what we can do. Start out small and work your way into that. With that, we'll go ahead and open up for Q&A.